Okay, we are going to look at cohesion in this video. So I already have this requests repository downloaded. If I list out my files, you can see the requests folder right there that contains everything I need for my analysis. And if I were to go into this project on GitHub, I can see in here, this is the requests. Um, I can see, remember we did some digging into this and found that all of our source files are in this source requests folder. So that's important to know in order for us to collect some metrics. So let's go into the cohesion section here. So for calculating cohesion, we are actually going to use a tool called Cohesion. If you don't already have this installed, if you've got pip, you can then use this command here. That should get it installed for you. Otherwise, just do a little bit of Googling and you'll be able to find what you need to get it installed properly. And then this is, generally speaking, what we need to do. So first, let me show you the first thing that we're doing. Cohesion is the tool we're using, and the directory is wherever the Python code is. So you're going to replace this with the Python code. So I'm going to say requests, source, requests, because remember that's the path that we saw in the repository. Now what that does is, remember we're looking at cohesion, and it's going to give us some different scores, some different metrics about the cohesion of this project. And throughout this we have all of these totals here. And these give us an idea of the cohesion for each of those files. Now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to do a couple of things to this output that's going to give me some values that I can then analyze. So I'm going to go ahead and just copy this. Let's clear this. And if I do a paste, the only thing I need to change is coming up here to this directory. Remember, we want requests, source, requests. And then it's going to go ahead and do the rest for me. I'm going to hit enter. Now I have a bunch of values. Okay, what I'm going to do now, because I don't know what to do with these, is I'm going to copy those. They're not easy for me to just be like, oh yes, that's high cohesion or low cohesion. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make a spreadsheet with these. Now, if you watch the coupling video, you'll have an idea of what we're about to do. But let's go ahead and give the cohesion totals, and let's paste those in. Again, not sure why I'm having a hard time with the font colors, but there's all of our values. Now what we're going to do here is we're actually going to do some ranges. So we're going to do a minimum value and a maximum value to help us calculate the frequency of values that are in a certain range. So the format you're going to type that in to be able to do that is going to be something like this. So we've got our minimum value, max value, and so our minimum value is going to be greater than or equal to 0. Our max value in this particular range is going to be to 10. So we're going to do ranges of 10. So less than or equal to 10. Okay, and then next we're going to do, these are no longer going to be equal to, it's going to be greater than 10, and then less than or equal to 20, greater than 20, less than or equal to 30, greater than 30, less than or equal to 40. Okay, we're going to just keep getting these in. Less than or equal to 80, greater than 80, less than or equal to 90, greater than 90, less than or equal to 100%. Okay, so that, and you could type more. I mean, it's going to be in that range up to 100, I believe. It shouldn't get more than 100 because these are percentages. Okay, so now we're going to calculate our frequency for that range. and we can do count ifs instead of count if. So in coupling, we did just a count if. This one, we're going to do count ifs. So let's type in our column header here, and let's just go ahead and paste in my formula. So this is going to do the range from A2 to A45. That looks like it covers everything. And then because I want to be able to copy and paste this, I'm going to use $signs before the column and row letter and number. And then for the row I'm in, I'm going to compare the minimum value B2 to the maximum value and the maximum value C2. So that's going to give me the range. Okay, so now I can see I've got 27 values that are less than or equal to 10. Okay, so you've got this, you've got zeros, so that makes sense. Now I should be able to copy and paste all the way down here. Okay, so now I've got my frequency and I've got my min and max value. Now this might be a little bit trickier to turn into a table, but let's go ahead and highlight it and give it a try. Let's do a chart. And it looks like it actually did an okay job. So in this particular example, it looks like I've got those frequencies on the bottom and the values along the left. And we've got our frequency ranges down here. So that looks like that's calculating the way I would expect. And so what we have here, it looks like we've got, more often we have low cohesion. So we've got, let's go ahead and just check our numbers here. We've got a high number of this low range and much smaller numbers of these higher ranges. So you can play with your chart a little bit to get it formatted the way you want. Remember, you should always have some titles. So what is this? This is the cohesion for the requests project. You should probably give your chart a better title than this, but also what are your X and Y axes? Like what is this? These are the values, this is the frequency. You need to label that stuff because once you put it into a paper, you need to have your reader understand what it is you're looking at. But for your own sake, you can format this how you need to, but you can now analyze these numbers and see that the values for cohesion are frequently in this lower range and less frequently in the higher range. So what does that tell you about the project and how would you go about improving it or keeping it at that level or something like that? So that is how you can collect metrics about cohesion and start to analyze it. So go ahead and put on your thinking cap about that and do this to a couple of projects and see what kind of information you come up with and think about what that might mean for the project.